And he backs the back into those actors he played Get Married. So, he keeps go back into them actors. You never got a name in an hour. You know, not people, I wouldn't have done it personally, but I can't see you playing through them. No wonder you're knocking around with it. You were well then. I've got to try that before. I'm promoting me licking the hand. Hang on, I said, I went, oh. He said, that's a long story, big shooting this big fat man. The IRA kicked him. That's an insult. I'm on fire. Unless you get £1 million. Do you want to make a contribution? I said, well, what's everybody? He said, £1.5 million. Goes down to this. He said, how much did they kick it out? 300 quid. He said, I can't afford that. I want to employ it. You keep that. But we'd be using gas, and there'd be a little bit of pain and a little bit of blood. They can't afford that. He said, didn't you used to get them students in who used to practice on you? He said, oh yeah, they do. And but the thing is, they won't be using any anaesthetic on you. They'll be ripping them out of the place and leaving me with a lot of blood and a lot of pain. He said, good, can you book the wife in tomorrow at 2 o'clock? What about the Irish fella who won the lottery? 600 quid. Goes down to Camelot. He said, well, sorry Paddy, but we're having trouble clearing that amount. So what we're going to do is give you 8 million this week, and 8 million, he said, oh, piss off. He said, stop pissing me about, give us me pound back. Gets worse. Gets worse, wait to tell you. She was talking to that. These two Irish fellas are coming out the alehouse. Halatic. Jump over the cemetery wall to cut through to their housing estate. And they're reading all these gravestones. Well, you look at that, they're 78 years. 78, mind you. 78. Look at that, 150. God blimey, I wouldn't mind an innings like that myself. 150. He said, Mick, what's his name? He went, Miles from London. There was a vicar walking down the road just before bonfire night, and he saw this little kid in the gutter playing with acid. He said, what are you doing there, young Tommy? He said, I'm making my own fireworks, you know. He said, well, you shouldn't be messing around with prussic acid, it's dangerous. He said, well, I don't tell you to take the holy water, do I? He said, well, let me tell you, young things about the difference between holy water and prussic acid. Come. Only the other week I dropped a few little drops of holy water. He said, sir, I put a few drops of prussic acid on my dog's bollocks and he passed it on. I'm glad you like that one, sir. Shall I write that one down for you? Now you will let me know if I'm going too far, because I've got worse ones. We've all got to have a good laugh, aren't we? You see, you've got to watch what you say these days, and honestly, I must admit, I've only come out to get away from the wife. She's got a big black eye now, it's her own fault. I took her to B&Q, she wanted decking. Now, my wife's alright, you know what I mean, she's very good in bed till I get in. Her idea of oral sex is to sit me down and talk me out of it. I come in the other night, lad, she said, where have you been? I said, the ale house. She said, I knew it. You've been on the ale again, haven't you? You promised me you'd stay sober. I said, hang hold on, mouth. I've been on the ale, I've been to one of them psychic nights. She said, you are? I said, psychic nights. She said, what do you mean? Because she's polished, you know. I said, you know, tarot cards, fortune telling, crystal balls and all that. Reincarnation. She said, what? What's that? I said, when reincarnation is when you die, you come back as something totally different to what you were when you were here the first time. She said, get away. Do you mean to tell me like I could come back like a pig or a cow? I said, you're not listening, are you? That was alright, that, wasn't it? Wasn't too rude, was it? You stay where you are, I've got worse ones. Alright, mate. Cold in the ground this morning, was it? Yeah, as I say, yeah, alright, mate, yeah. I'm going to do this impression soon, so don't go. But I like it. I've got to admit, my wife has been nagging me for these implants that I'm at. I mean, you've seen Jordan. Funny, I've got a little story about Jordan. There was two cannibals, father and son, running through the jungle. And they came across that Jordan, stripped to the waist, washing herself. And the son said to the father, look, Dad, look at the size of them, because it was a Scouse pygmy. Jesus, look at the size of them, Dad. Let's kill her and take her home and eat her. And the dad went, wumba wumba lumba wumba wumba, which means you're fucking joking at me. He said, well, take her home and eat your ma. Anyway, so my wife wants these implants. And I said, well, how much are they going to cost me? She said, they're about 4,000 to 5,000. I said, behave yourself, I can't afford that. You're having a laugh, aren't you? She burst out crying, so I shot down to Arrow Park, got hold of one of them Pakistani specialists. I said, listen, mate, don't tell me wife I popped in to see you. I said, but I can't afford that £7,000, not with the insurance and the mortgage. You're having a laugh. Have you got anything cheaper? Oh, he said, well, we do have this hormone cream, but it's never been tested. I said, well, how much is the hormone cream? He said, 50 pence a tin. I said, give us 2 crates. It's all like laughing now, girls, but believe me, when I was rubbing this cream on her chest, 2 days later, I had hairy hands. Straight up. She was absolutely beside herself. She shot down to Arrow Park, she grabbed hold of that specialist, she said, hey, I want to work with you. Look at the state of my chest. Covered in thick black hair. He said, I told you to bring the cream back. If there was any side effects, I told you to bring the... She said, never mind now, it's too late now. Look at my chest. He couldn't believe it. He got all these students out with stethoscopes on. And they were amazed. He went, undo blouse. She undid a blouse like that. He couldn't believe it. Thick black hair. He went, goodness gracious. He said, how far down do those hairs go? She said, right down to me bollocks. That's another thing I want to talk to you about. She went to bingo the other night, and while she was out, this adult channel popped on my screen. No, I'm not being a pair, not like that. It just happens, it's called the Freeview. They give you like 30 seconds of what you can buy, you know what I mean? It's useless really. By the time you've got your kecks off, it's gone off. And before you're all looking at one another thinking, aye. Now, I wouldn't buy anything like that. I did once when I was younger, when my blood was up. I bought a Blue Move, you know, with your Barclay card, the red button thing, interactive. Tell you what, it was good at the time. It was called 3 in a Bed. When I put it on, it was all about darts. But I must admit, if
lads or girls, if you are going to go out and do anything like that, watching something naughty on the telly, always make sure you've got the remote control handy. You know the score, lads. You never know who's going to walk in. I must have got carried away. I didn't hear the key in the door. The next thing, she walked in. She wanted to know what I was doing with no trousers on. Watching Tomorrow's World. Talk about being put in the doghouse. You have that saying in Birkenhead, don't we, New Ferry, the doghouse? Not half. Wouldn't speak to me. Or I was getting the cold shoulder. We had to go and see one of those bloody sex therapists. They ask you them embarrassing questions they ask you. He said, do you smoke after making love? I said, well, I've never looked. He said, well, do you use condoms? I said, no, I can't stand the smell of burning rubber. He said, well, do you talk to your wife during sex? I said, well, yeah, there's a phone handy. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But you know, like being a comic, you've got to watch what you say, because you can't offend people. And they all give you that, they always try to give you that politically correct thing. But I think that's gone a bit too far now, don't you think? Gone a little, just a little. They've told us we can't smoke in our clubs. You can't drink and drive. Now they're telling us what we can and what we can't laugh at. You know what I mean, don't you? So you've got to just be careful of that, because the government can get a little bit carried away. And we're all here having a laugh, aren't we? Like I say, and I'm not a racist myself, I think it's a language problem. I'll give you an example. There was a Yorkshireman in Yorkshire. There's no way of putting this, so I'll come right to the point. He had piles.